right. Y'all ready for my favorite part of the segment? All right. This is Blackberry Dating Profile 101. So our blackberries on the mountain like long, nice days at the pool followed by sunbathing on the rocks and like to end their day taking nice long walks in the field. Those are all blackberries on Grandfather, in the habitats on Grandfather Mountain. So like I said before, seasonally dependent, female bears weigh on average about 150 pounds. Male bears on average weigh 250 pounds, but seasonally dependent when they're going into hibernation or torpor, which we'll talk about. Obviously, they're bumping their weight up when they come out in the spring. Obviously, their weight has dropped. Complete opposite to me. I don't know what happens. But the largest known blackberry was actually located in 1998 in North Carolina. Do we have anyone want to throw out some ideas of how much that blackberry weighed?
350?
350?
400.
400? 750? Up from 750.
What?
So 880 pounds. Found on the coast of North Carolina. And the reasons why that bear got so large, they believed, was because of the agriculture on the East Coast. They had a lot of foods like wheat, corn, and peanuts this bear was munching on.
Oh.
And then because of the temperatures on the coast, they didn't have to go into that kind of reduced state of lowering their heart rate so they could come out and forage more often. So this black bear is just on a Netflix, HBO binge, eating binge.
What did they end up doing with it?
I don't know. I don't know if they did anything with it, just other than recorded the weight. But since 1998, there has been no other bear that has broken that record at all. As well. Now, bears in the wild, they typically live, I'll come here back, about 20, 25, depending on different factors in the wild. But I can't imagine 880 pounds, that's a lot to move around. Go ahead.
How do you weigh there?
How do you, so I'm not part of the habitats team, but I was given the opportunity on Grandfather one day to help weigh a bear. And it's really easy. You just tell them to go on a scale and but we were all super excited. We're like, it's bear weighing day. And I'm like, look at these strong arms. I'm gonna lift that bear. So they actually put the bear in a what's the word I'm looking for? A sleep state, but not hibernation. They put it to sleep, and then when it fell over, it was on a mat. And then me, as strong as I am, came. No, we had our whole maintenance team and our habitat crew pick up the blanket that the bear was on and put it on a scale that the vet had. I'm sure there's other ways to weigh it, but that is, as far as I know, one way to weigh a bear. That's a great question. It might have been you, sir, was asking earlier about their life cycles with seasonal changes and such like that. So let me touch on the life cycle a little, and then we'll talk about like hibernation and such like that. If anything I don't cover, let me know, and I can see if I can answer those questions. If not, I'll get back to you. So the female bears get on the dating website and May or June start looking for start looking for a bear to mate with. And when they are in the pregnancy, it lasts about 7 months. And they make sure they eat a lot during that time, not just because they're about to den up, but to sustain the pregnancy. The female bears, they do have their cubs in the den with them in around January. And when the cubs come out, they're about the size of a potato.
Wow.
Yeah. So
It's right now in January that the cubs are being born?
mhm.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
No,
No, go ahead.
I just want to know, is it the female that's the initiator? She gets to pick who she wants to mate with? You said that female starts on the waiting side, the dating side, she's looking for a man. So is that how it goes? Well, 'cause a lot of times it's the male that's pursuing it.
It's usually the males pursuing.
Okay, so she's just giving.
Yeah, sorry, I guess that was kind of
Yeah,
misleading.
okay, all right, that's all right. That's
But they don't generally, and someone who's different, please correct me if I'm wrong, they don't have the same mating pair throughout life. But yes. So they come out as potatoes, and they turn into they start eating potatoes and turn into an 880-pound bear. But they are born in the den with their mom. So this is just a photo. I believe it's Mildred in a den on grandfather. But in the den, they're nursed. The mom wakes up, nurses them, takes care of them. And then about 2 to 3 months, so in March, they'll come out of the den with their mother, weighing about 4 to 6 pounds at that point. And then the cubs generally stay with their mom until about 16 to 18 months, when the female bear lets them go on their own for a chance of finding a mate and having their own family in the wild. Climate, seasonal changes with the bears. Hibernation versus, this word always comes out of my mouth funny. Torpor, Torpor. Torpor. For some reason, it just doesn't come out correctly. But some animals truly do hibernate, where they go into a voluntary, hard, steady sleep. Torpor is involuntary, but it's when the animal slows their heart rate, slows their heart rate and their breathing, and their metabolic rate decreases as well. And then there's a slight decrease in their body temperatures as well. But this is not a true hibernation, and that's what a lot of bears are currently doing with the seasonal changes. So they can come out of the state to eat, to nurse their young, and they don't stay in this state. They go involuntary into torpor to save what they have fueled up on, and they still den. So at Grandfather Mountain, it's real fun because you're sitting in the office and you'll hear the habitats team say, "Cody's awake," because they see his tracks in the snow. But when they're in their habitat, the bears do den. There was a point a couple weeks ago where, this might sound crazy, but the habitats team didn't know where one of the bears was at because it was in a den, but they didn't want to go looking into the den and disrupting the bear. So on nice days, like so warm today, but a couple of days ago when it was warmer out, the bears were out and about. So the bears on Grandfather still do get fed. But depending, say in Florida, the bears will not go into any kind of, typically any torpor or hibernation, not necessary. Up north, it's gonna last longer, about 6 months. Here in North Carolina, roughly about 3 to 4 months that they could possibly be denning. But as we have seen, there's been changes in seasonal temperatures throughout, and that is affecting the time and the amount of time they stay in that suspended state. And also affects their food as well before they go into that state.
Can you describe a den? Like, is it something they make, like a birds make a nest or something?
Yeah, so there's all different types of dens. They can be in hollow out trees. They can, I've never seen it, but get a brush pile and go into that. They can go into human-made structures that are already a den. Rock cavities are another type of den they can go into as well. Did I say hollow out trees? I believe I said that. Let me see. And then some open ground nests. So it really depends on their habitat. Bears, like I said earlier, they can live just about anywhere, but they do prefer to be in a more forested area, better chance of denning. And then on the East Coast, not much of a problem, but to get away from predators as well, a bear can climb 100 feet up in a tree in about 30 seconds.
Oh my God.
I know, that would take me forever.
Oh.
So does that help? It's basically, it's almost like housing. I'm just came from Asheville not too long ago, but it's like housing in Asheville. You take what you get. Grab it quick. Does that help answer your question then?
Yeah, I was just wondering if they collect things and pad the walls.
Oh, like
or
make
a
it
nest,
homey?
They don't do that to insulate themselves or.
I'm actually not sure. Sue, do you?
Okay.
I'm just calling on Sue.
I don't think that most bears do
I
that.
don't think
Okay.
so.
Some of
I was
them
just
might,
curious.
lay down some pine branches, but most bears are pretty well insulated when they go into torpor or
Okay.
anything.
Okay.
I wonder though if they seek out dens particularly for that, like more cushion. I'll have to look into that. That's a good question.
Just curious.
No, that's great. I'm curious as well.
The wild bears, do they have the same den for life in the same area, or do they
Oh, yeah.
like to wander to different areas?
So bears, they don't have territories like some other animals. They do have a home range. Female's home range can be up to 50 miles, and a male's home range can be up to 300 miles.
Wow.
So I don't know, I don't want to give you false information. I don't think they say this is my assigned den. Just things could happen, the tree could get blocked off, the man-made structure can get ruined or such. So I don't think they rely on having the same den, but that's not to mean they don't go back to the den. It might also depend on the food source in the area as well. But I don't think it's a necessarily, this is my den. Because on grandfather, like I said, the habitat team kind of sneaks around because they don't know which den the bear is currently in. When I mean sneak around, just quiet. Just touch on it briefly. Bears are opportunistic eaters. They omnivores, which I encourage you all later to come up. These are not all bear skulls, but to test your knowledge and see which one you can describe as a bear skull based on the information that I'm providing. They are omnivores. Basically, in the spring months, they eat mostly plants. In the summer, berries and insects, and then in the fall, a lot of berries and then nuts to provide that substance for when they go into their denning. Most of their diet is 75% plants, but they're, like I said, they're opportunistic eaters, so they'll eat basically anything you provide. Their diet is a little different than our good friend Mildred, which you're more than welcome to come up after. Mildred really enjoyed Fig Newtons and orange soda. And on the mountain previously, if you were there a while back, you could feed the bears. Has anyone fed the bears on Grandfather? Yeah, would you like to tell about that experience at all?
It was pretty interesting. I grew up with Mildred.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so all her cups, she was never scared to bring her cups around. She would pose with you with pictures, and you get really close to her and her cups, which was surprising. But
Yeah.
it was fun, a lot of fun.
So, the bears on the mountain, whether they might like it, but they don't get Fig Newtons and orange soda anymore. I'm sure it goes against some regulation. But they get switch up in their diet so they don't get bored, so they get a lot of cool things. And it's an enrichment, so the Habitats team does foraging with them by throwing some pellets out of the ground so they have to forage for the food and such as well.
Hi, my name is Jesse Pope. I'm the President and Executive Director of the Grandfather Mountain Stewardship Foundation. Thank you for watching this video. Click the subscribe button below. And to learn more about Grandfather Mountain, visit grandfather.com, and you can support our mission there to inspire conservation. Thank you.